the games begin. Woo! Wait, I'm too close to the table. There we go. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you. I'm gonna cry. Wait, sorry. Sorry, guys, I can't do it. It's reminding me of my husband. Um, this song always reminds me of Ray because, well, he was Cuban. And sorry. Sometimes the holidays are really hard when you're a widow. And actually, anybody who's lost important people in their lives, the holidays are kind of the worst, aren't they? But we're going to make lemonade out of lemons and be positive and enjoy the sunshine. I've got really bad lighting going on here. This is kind of awful. Well, good thing not too many people are watching. Although I do have some really important news, and I'm super excited because vindication is mine. It's everyone who has spent the last more than 4 years just sick of these lies that we're being fed by the media. It's the media. I mean, you know, without the media lying for the disgusting Democrats, sorry, but if you're a Democrat, like, whoa, what's wrong with you? All the truth is coming out, and it's coming out. It was a drip, 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 and now it's a fire hose. So, Feliz Navidad. Feeling better. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año. I can't even do it. Oh boy, sorry guys. I'm reeling over here because I'm actually so excited about the future and how all of the truth is coming out now that the past 4 years are being revealed as a criminal organization. I mean, that's what I'm calling it. Criminals who steals an election and then installs a puppet and then lies to us for 4 years about how great the puppet is, and then takes the puppet out when everybody can see he's a puppet. Merry Christmas, Rick. And then sticks in an even more ridiculous puppet in his place. Ah, just crazy cakes. Hi, Gaming. Hi, Linda. We are going to have such a wonderful 2025, Linda. I am really so excited for the future. I feel like there is so much to learn, and as the truth comes out, I do hope I do hope that everybody will. I don't want to hear jingle bells at the moment because, man, jingle bells are ringing, right? Uh, I hope that that the people who did fall for the clown administration can admit that they were duped. I hope that they can get over it. I hope they don't try to double down on the nastiness that they have been sending our way. And I mean, even in my own life, in my own personal life, people just, you know, calling me crazy, saying that I'm a conspiracy theorist. And, you know, it's like people who don't even care about politics, don't have anything to do with it, never researched it like I do. Like, I'm a journalist, you know, and I've been involved, well, I've been a journalist since 1987, but as far as the political scene, I guess I started really paying attention, um, well, right after 9/11. I think that was what woke me up and said, hey, something is so not right here. Well, when I lived in Switzerland, it was also the advent of the Clintons. I was terrified of them, and with good reason. So I'm right now in the midst of trying to figure out, like, where do we go from here? You know, if everybody finally learns the truth, there's just so much, so much. I can't even. Okay, I'm gonna dive into some things that I've been researching, which all began with the DEI zoo. Have you ever heard of a DEI zoo? I had never heard of such a thing until just yesterday, I believe, or was it the day before? But when they wanted to pass that continuing resolution, and it was revealed that part of the continuing resolution had earmarked $500,000, that's $500,000, for DEI zoos. And everyone's like, this is ridiculous. This can't even be real. Like, what is a DEI zoo? Well, I think we are living in the DEI zoo right now. But seriously, zoos all over the world actually have been, um, as are other corporations, but zoos especially apparently have been all about diversity, equity, inclusion, and they've added an A to it. Let me see, I have some notes over here. Like, what's the A for? Um, DEAI efforts. Diversity, equity, I don't know what the A stands for. Oh, access. Access and inclusion. What is that? I have to take this hat off. I'm sorry. I'm in Florida and it's a little bit hot. I'm going to take my hair down too and see what happens. I was feeling kind of bald. I like my hair. Okay. I'm a long hair girl. Just what I do. So anyway, now that I've let my hair down, I feel a lot better. I feel like my brains are being constrained by this hat. Also, just a side note, I am having some pain up here right in my cheek area, and I believe it's from TMJ. I forget what that stands for, but something about, it's like a joint in your, when you clench and grind your teeth. So I do that, and I have not been wearing my mouth guard, so I'm wearing my mouth guard now. Oh, thank you, Rick. Okay, so anyway, I'm smiling because I am really happy. I am so excited to see the truth coming out, and I'm excited to be vindicated, and I hope that people in my life and on my shows and the trolls and everyone, I hope to finally admit that girlfriend was talking truth the whole time. Because, I always say this. Truth is free, lies are very expensive, and that's why Anderson Cooper makes, I think he's up to $10 million, and me, I'm on here just trying to shill a few bucks a day on YouTube. So it doesn't matter though, because I sleep well at night, because I know that I have done everything I could to tell the truth and to make people feel confident in their own attitudes and perceptions, because you think that something's going on, it probably is. And this latest administration, don't even want to call it an administration, it's literally a DEI zoo. And beginning with the person who ran for office most recently, that's a DEI zoo right there. And the fact is that when Biden was searching for his running mate, he only wanted a black woman. And that right there is DEI in a nutshell. I mean, we don't care if she's a good person. We don't care if she has credentials. We don't care if she was voted for. None of it mattered. It was all about she's a black woman, and she wasn't even a black woman. That was like the craziest part, was she was not even what they said she was. So I mean, none of them are what they say they are, and it turns out that even Biden is not a presidential president. So I'm going to read to you what I found in the on X this morning that really gave me hope for the world. Here, I'm going to read this to you. Where is it? Okay. So this is posted 14 hours ago by Kyle Becker. The Wall Street Journal confirms America has not had a functioning president for 4 years. The Wall Street Journal has blown the cover off an extensive government cover-up operation to hide the fact America has not had a functioning president for 4 years. How the White House functioned with the diminished Biden in charge discloses one bombshell revelation after another, as revealed by insiders who have finally stepped forward to confirm what conspiracy theorists like me have been desperately trying to tell the American people for 4 years. Hi, Adam. I'm back. I'm here every day. The Wall Street Journal piece contains a number of shocking insights into a presidency that has gone off the rails. Really? I'd say it's even worse than that. Well, the first glimpse of President Joe Biden as a barely functional dementia patient came for millions at the first and only presidential debate versus former President Donald Trump. The warning signs came early and often during his presidency and throughout his preemptively terminated campaign. And I'm going to say that it happened even long before that. It was pretty obvious. Just the sniffing of the children was a huge red flag. He calls this an untimely report, but I'd say, is it untimely because it's coming out at the end of the 4 years of hell, or is it untimely because it should have come out a long time ago, or is it untimely because the truth is out? I don't know. You can only guess what he's thinking. Anyway, the untimely report suggests that key administration officials, such as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, assumed responsibilities that some believe should have been handled directly by the president. These officials reportedly built a protective wall around Biden, which limited press access and outsider engagement. That's right, Rick, he did do that. We all saw it. At public events, aides often repeated instructions to him, such as basic stage directions, which would typically not be necessary for a public figure of his stature. Again, we all saw this. As Joe Biden suggested many times, he would get in trouble if he went off script. We all heard that as well. First Lady Jill Biden was reportedly advised to downplay her campaign efforts in Iowa to avoid drawing attention to President Joe Biden's notably sparse schedule. This pattern of protecting the president's image extended to his interactions with senior Democratic lawmakers, many of whom expressed frustration over their inability to reach him during pivotal moments, including the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. Was he even involved in that? Did he even have anything to do with it? I think maybe not. Concerns over Biden's stamina also emerged as a theme in the report. The report by the Wall Street Journal, that is. Like, what took you so long? The president reportedly became fatigued during long meetings, leading to increased mistakes. We all saw that too. On days when his performance was deemed subpar, meetings were sometimes canceled altogether. Lawmakers noted a stark contrast between Biden's limited communications as president and the accessibility they experienced during Barack Obama's administration when they were junior representatives. Oh, they noticed it. Did they say anything? No, they did not. Moreover, the frequency of Biden's cabinet meetings fell short of his predecessors. You think? During his first term, he held 10 fewer meetings than Barack Obama and 16 fewer than Donald Trump, raising further questions about his engagement in governing. Adam says, my favorite part was how perfectly competent he was until Kamala started running for president. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, we all saw it. I just don't understand how there are people out there who literally, like, not that they lied, but they believed the lies. I'm not gonna say call names, and I'm not going to question your intelligence. I just think, like, what was in it for you? Like, and why did you have to say such nasty things to me? Why do you not watch the news and not care about politics and not know anything except that I'm wrong? What's up with that? So annoying. Well, I was right. Just like President Trump, always right. I'm not saying I'm just like President Trump, but we do have a lot in common. Yeah, they chose to be blind. Yeah, I think that I think they got paid, Adam. I think there's always something in it for them because they're criminals, and criminals always speak to the power and the money, and they will always defend themselves and their cohorts. And if you try to call them out, they will double down and then accuse you of doing exactly what they are doing every time. I mean, how many times do you see these people, you start yelling, Trump has dementia? Really? That man does not have dementia. There's like no way. Trump is incompetent. Oh, okay. Like what? I just think it's really pathetic, and I'm so pleased that the American people, most of them, half of them at least, realized what was going on and reinstated one of the best presidents of our time after what just happened 4 years ago, and clearly a stolen election. And quit telling me that it wasn't, and quit trying to get Trump and Vance and anybody else to say that it wasn't a stolen election. Stop. Just stop with your gaslighting. Just stop with your narcissistic behavior. I'm just going to call it that. Everyone's all about narcissists, right? Well, the media are the most narcissistic ever, I think, and I agree. The root of all evil, money and power. According to Kyle Becker, this account from the Wall Street Journal casts a sobering light on the dynamics of the Biden White House, raising broader concerns about leadership and functionality during a period marked by major domestic and international crisis. Tallahassee, pissed about which one, Adam? I'm not sure which election are you talking about. The last one, 2020. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Tallahassee. I've driven through, but I don't know anything about. I just know that a lot of people call it Tallahassee. I'm sorry, I've just heard that. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't have a good reputation. That's all. Then again, yeah, reputation. It always precedes you. This story also raises serious questions about the immoral lengths a political machine would go to in order to prop up a failed presidency. We see the immoral lengths. If this was an illusion of a presidency, did Americans get an illusion of a 2020 election? Asks Kyle Becker. Well, clearly. Oh, the most recent election. Oh, they're blue. Why? Why do smart people, I know smart people who bought this crap. I don't get it. One might argue the warning signs that Biden was in mental and physical decline could be seen during his previous election campaign. You think? It was run from his basement. Rhetorically speaking, no, actually, that did happen. Yet someone somehow saw him accrue a record 81 million ballots under murky circumstances. Again, quit gaslighting us. We know the election was stolen. I knew it. Let's see. The night of the election, 2020, I went to sleep quite sure that when I woke up, President Trump would still be my president. Instead, I woke up to all the shenanigans that went on in the middle of the night and the stolen election. I was there. You were there. We all watched it. We all watched Biden lose votes. How does that happen? Has it ever happened? Who loses votes in an election? 81 million, really? I don't think so. As Carrie Lake would say, 81 million votes. My ass. Right back to this. It's long, but it's good. But it's also sad because it's like so obvious. I don't know. It's obvious to me. Maybe it's not obvious to the woke crowd, the DEI zoo people. While Joe Biden is typecast being the operative word right here, as a cantankerous fool who failed upwards into the upper echelon of government, we must not allow this narrative to obscure his wanton corruption, as was demonstrated by Hunter Biden's foreign influencing peddling schemes. They weren't Hunter Biden's schemes. They were Joe Biden's schemes. I'm pretty sure that Hunter just did what he was told. I actually kind of feel sorry for him. Could you imagine your father using you in that way to help the whole family literally sponge off of the American people and their trust in you and your 50 years in government? So sad, so sick. The Chinese and Ukrainian foreign influence schemes were surely political operations that not only greased the palms of deep state insiders, but it provided convenient dirt to coerce Joe Biden into doing the machine's bidding. You know, that is the problem with criminals. When they get caught, then the other criminals have something over their heads. Thank you, Adam. You're not the only one. I've been doing this show for almost 10 years now on Facebook, but Facebook decided that I was just too scary, and they made up a lie about me sexually exploiting adults, and that I posted something crazy, and I can never do anything real on Facebook. Now I just use it to promote my YouTube channel, which these days, YouTube likes me. It wasn't always this way. YouTube has banned me in the past several years simply for telling the truth. I don't lie about anything. I have no reason to lie. I'm actually not intelligent enough to lie. I couldn't keep lies straight. And I have no reason to lie. I have no agenda. I have no money. I'm not even looking to make money. I actually don't care. I know I need a better attitude towards money. I need to realize that if I have money, I could actually help other people. But even without money, I still help other people. So I'm not sure how important it is to have a lot of money in this world. And sometimes if you don't have anything, then you don't have to be afraid of people taking it away. So you can kind of do and say what you want. And right now I have freedom, and I was very concerned that if President Trump did not succeed in becoming the president again, that my freedom would be at stake, and that everybody like me, everybody outspoken, telling the truth, was in danger of being thrown in jail. Like, look at the J6ers. I mean, it's happening in front of my eyes. Hi, Quentin. Thank you, thank you. And I actually know Quentin from back in the Pittsburgh days. He bought my bedroom set for his daughter when I moved from Pittsburgh to Florida. Wow, that was almost 10 years ago, Quentin. That's amazing, isn't it? Everything we've been through. The American people have been put through so much, it really makes me want to cry. It does. And again, I'm super emotional these days, as anybody is who has to spend the holidays without people they love because they're in heaven. It's okay. I guess we're always together, right? Anyway, I'm going to keep reading this. Okay, so yet Joe Biden, if anything, is not so much guilty of being an ineffectual president as the media and his handlers are guilty of exploiting him in order to carry out a woke regime, a woke reign of terror against the left's enemies. Yeah, Shirley, how time flies, exactly. Hi, Maureen. Good morning, my friend. This Machiavellian crusade ranged from censorship of independent and conservative voices on social media to brazen and now failed lawfare against former President, to quit calling him former President Donald Trump. He he is. He always will be president. We don't say former President Jimmy Carter, do we? We don't say former President even Obama. I never see the word former in front of his name. Just saying. We don't need to keep hearing that former word because it's not true. Anyway, for the dastardly crime of running for president again and seeking to change the Washington status quo. So this is not really an article, Adam. I'm reading this off of X. This is a political pundit, I believe, named Kyle Becker. And I don't really know that much about Kyle. I know he's got a wide-ranging voice. I don't really follow him, so I can't tell you anything about Kyle Becker other than some of the things he's saying right here tells me that he was not as tuned in as he could have been. Just saying. Just saying. Let's put it this way, wasn't as tuned in as I was. Just saying. He says, no, Joe Biden is more aptly seen as the witless puppet of a craven machine, which was run by the amoral Democratic Party along with its co-conspirators in the establishment media. This explosive piece, the Wall Street Journal piece, is not so much a condemnation of an imperfect man. It is an indictment of an entire corrupt system. Well, the system, you can blame a system. That doesn't sound very taking responsibility, does it? How about we blame some actual people? I've got them for you. Here's someone that I'm gonna blame. Okay, I'm gonna let him blame himself. His name is Chris Cilliza. I never heard of him because I don't watch CNN. I don't watch television. I mean, sure, I get my news mostly off of YouTube, to tell you the truth, but I don't really know who this dude is. I can tell you one thing in the research I've done about him. He is worth millions. He is a writer, a journalist, just like I am. Only he has used the system to make a lot of money. And he has been very well paid by CNN. He makes more than $100,000 a year. And I don't know how much he makes on his YouTube channel, but I imagine it's a lot because he's got more than 17,000. Well, wait a minute. How many? Oh, he's got 51.5 thousand subscribers. But I'm going to venture to say that everything out of this dude's mouth is crap and a lie. Let's listen to what he has to say today. Was this today? Did he post this? December 19th. Oh, it was yesterday. It was yesterday after the news came out. And how did this news break? Well, thanks again to, what's his name, O'Keefe. I don't know, his first name is eluding me. You know who I'm talking about anyway. That dude. He actually got one of the Biden White House officials to go on a secret date and spill the tea to a journalist that Biden is dead. That's what he said. He's like basically dead. He doesn't do anything, and he's not really running the country. Apparently, Nobody, no one person is running the country. I have some ideas about that as well. But let's listen to Chris Cilliza as he gives an apology about his Joe Biden coverage. Yeah, he calls this an apology, but I'm going to show where it's not an apology. It's a confession, and this dude's a total liar and a total user and abuser of the American people who have those who trusted him for their news. Okay, let me turn the camera around so you can see him. All right, Chris, take it away.
Trump's going to come into office in his late 70s. We know very little about his medical history. I think we as journalists need to keep asking questions. Have you seen any signs of his mental or physical decline? Now, his aides may just say, no, he's great.
Wait,
100%.
let me go to the bottom where he starts his apology.
Harder, earlier, for more information about Joe Biden's mental and physical well-being and any signs of decline. So let me explain. Joe Biden was president from 2020 to 2024. I worked at CNN through 2022. During that time, the early part when I was at CNN, 2020 to 2022, Republicans would regularly ping me and say, why don't you ask more questions of Joe Biden and how he's doing? He's 76, 77, 78-year-old man. And I would sort of brush them off because what I would say is, well, there's no obvious evidence that he's declining.
Oh,
he moves a little slower.
No obvious evidence.
But there's no evidence that he's declining.
Gaslighter.
And the White House and the people around Joe Biden were absolutely adamant that suggesting anything, asking the question,
and that didn't tip you off
about whether he was in some physical, mental, or both
exactly,
decline
Adam.
was offensive. How could you? It's age shaming. And I think that impacted me at some level.
It impacted you.
I did ask the question from time to time. You know, not directly the White House, but aides and people around in that orbit. I didn't really push on it.
Why not?
If I'm being honest.
Why not?
Now, once I left CNN,
tell me why not.
Once it became a little bit more.
You were fired from CNN, by the way.
I did write pretty regularly and talk pretty regularly about how I wasn't sure that this guy was up to it. And then obviously after the June 27th debate, everybody, including me, was writing it.
Then the truth came out, huh?
The reason that I bring this up is in the last 48 hours, there have been two stories, one by the New York Times and one by the Wall Street Journal, that document the decline of Joe Biden and how we probably should have known then and reported then what we know now. So let me just read a little bit of the Wall Street Journal piece, which is based off of 50.
Would you be saying this if Kamala had won?
50 interviews.
I'd like to know.
Around Biden. I'm just going to read a bit. To adapt the White House around the needs of a diminished leader, they told visitors to keep meetings focused. Interactions with senior Democratic lawmakers and some cabinet members, including powerful secretaries such as Defense's Lloyd Austin and Treasury's Janet Yellen, were infrequent or grew less frequent. Some legislative leaders had a hard time getting the president's ear at key moments, including ahead of the U.S.'s disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. Senior advisors were often put into roles that some administration officials and lawmakers thought Biden should occupy, with people such as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Senior Counselor Steve Ricchetti, and National Economic Council head Lael Brainerd, and her predecessor frequently in the position of being go-betweens for the president. Press aides who compiled packages of news clips for Biden were told by senior staff to exclude negative stories about the president. The president wasn't talking to his own pollsters, as surveys showed him trailing in the 2024 race.
Thank you for reading that to us. I don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal.
I want to quote from the New York Times piece as well.
Oh, yeah, well, I want to hear that too.
That is pretty damning.
Yeah, a little bit.
Headline, New York Times, this is earlier this week. A weary Biden heads for the exit.
Weary.
This is the twilight of Mr. Biden's presidency, the final days of the final chapter of an epic half-century political journey that has more than its share of twists and turns. Time is catching up with Mr. Biden. He looks a little older and a little slower with each passing day. Aides say he remains plenty sharp in the Situation Room, calling world leaders to broker a ceasefire in Lebanon or a deal with the chaos of Syria's rebellion. But it is hard to imagine that he seriously thought he could do the world's most stressful job for another 4 years. Okay, I know that's a lot of text that I read, but that's what's got me thinking about the fact that I probably should have pushed harder on the Biden age stuff. Because
But you would have been fired earlier.
It's clear that the people close to him knew that.
Oh, now
best,
hindsight
he had
2020,
some good
huh?
days and some bad days. June 27th, the debate clearly was a bad day. But if the bad day was that bad as he performed on that debate stage, the fact that he had been president without a whole lot of questions being asked about his physical and mental
by you,
and I'll add the fact that he continued to be president from June 27th until January 20th, 2025.
Hello.
I think is a little bit concerning and begs the question of, like, what? When did people near him know? What did they know? And why did they not
You
share?
knew.
I get protecting Biden's privacy, but he's the president of the United States,
right?
Like, this isn't just your grandpa who you want to, like, take the keys from, but you're not to his car.
Who is this guy talking to?
How to approach it? This is the sitting president of the United States who will continue to be after June 27th. Was the president for another 6 months.
Tell me why.
And we don't know how far back signs of this.
Oh, we do. We saw them. You didn't see them. I saw them. Linda saw them. Adam saw them.
Myself or just on journalists, because I know journalists did ask, and I can tell you, I mean, I know from my experience, there was a shame factor that went into that. People,
yeah, you don't like that shame factor.
To make you feel bad.
Wait, I'm gonna.
I should have pushed harder.
Oops, wait, sorry. Oh, I just.
More information. Surveys showed him trailing.
Wait a minute.
Sorry about Jake Sullivan, senior counsel Steve members, including powerful secretaries such as Defense's Lloyd Austin.
Hold on. I just have to comment on this one. Where they work to make people feel badly for even questioning Biden's competency. Wow. You think? They even put some people in jail for even suggesting that he didn't win the 2020 election. I mean, that's what I'm going to say all the J6ers, at least the ones that were actually patriots, because now we know that there were at least 24 confidential FBI informants. What do they call them? Confidential sources. So it's it doesn't sound like the Democratic Party as much as it sounds like a criminal operation run against the most important country in the world. And yeah, I lived in Switzerland for 10 years, and yeah, I saw this country from a different viewpoint, living in another country. However, it's very clear when you go to any other country that America is still this shiny city on the hill. I don't know if it is now, but it was when I lived in Switzerland, and anywhere I went. Hi, Joanne. Our country is very important to the whole world, and the fact that they exploited that over 2020 because they didn't want President Trump to ruin their criminal enterprise, and threw us into the Schmid, which I'm still not allowed to talk about. I mean, I could say anything and get kicked off just for telling the truth, just for telling the truth about certain medicines that were used to alleviate the Schmid, and we weren't allowed to know about them because that would have ruined the big pharma opportunity to make a lot of money on a mandate of a drug that was not the only drug that could help people. I know I can't wait for January 20th either, but actually I think that something has to be done right now. So I did actually notice from X, which is a great place to get news, that the Bidens, Jill and Joe, just returned to the White House, and they were supposed to be off for their special holidays. And I think I don't even want to say her name. I feel like it's invoking that Bloody Mary name. But anyway, her, she, she also came back to Washington. So they're either going to kick him out and install her, but all of this stuff is true, and all of it means that every single person in the White House right now is a liar and has been deceiving the American people in front of their very own eyes. How do we keep putting up with that? I mean, I like want to run over and like I can't even say it because it's like it's scary because the DOJ is against us, and I say us, I say we, the American people who have seen the truth for more than 4 years, more than 4 years. It's just been obvious for a really long time. Joanne, there are people running our country, and they don't like us, and they're not on our side, and they're doing everything they can right now to thwart our efforts to be free people. They want us to be their shall we say drones? What's a drone? Something fake. Let's see. What's a DEI zoo? Okay, let's talk about that quickly because it is just kind of like it explains everything really. So when I saw that $500,000 was earmarked for DEI zoos, among other things like, wait, there's like gay nursing homes. Look what gay people have to have their own nursing homes. Very strange. So much porculus going on. It was crazy. Um, some other things, and I just love Elon and JD going for the pork and figuring it all out. Oh, Adam, there's going to be suspicious drone activity for a long time, I think. I don't know. They're starting to make rules and laws against the drones, but I don't know what to think about that. $400,000 for a gay activist group to teach elementary kids about being trans. $400,000 for that. Not just Barry Soetoro, Joanne, but how about George Soros? Did you know that George Soros recently, I think he got married to Huma Abedin? That is a kind of hellacious couple going on there, right? What is up with that? It's really weird. Really, really weird. Hillary's flunky has married George Soros's crazy, scary son, Alex. Alex is scary. He gives me the creeps. I think he's worse than his dad, actually. Yes, Doge to the rescue. I agree, Joanne. Yeah, they want to segregate themselves all the time. And it's funny because they're always talking about President Trump being orange because all they care about is the color of somebody's skin, which is pretty pathetic. Here's another $15 million for Egyptians' college tuitions. $400,000 for clothing for transgenders. Yeah, this is real. $850,000 for the gay senior home. And and of course, they also wanted to give themselves a $69,000 annual pay raise. For what? I think they've worked like about 100 days this past year. This is sick. These are sick people. So there's a lot of Congress drops monster bill in the middle of the night. This is from Jesse Waters. He drops some good truths. But when I saw that DEI zoo, everybody was like, what is that DEI zoo? So I looked it up. And what I found out, there is an organization of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. They have equity and inclusion as their most important thing that they want to do. Like, it sounds like they don't even talk about the animals. It has nothing to do with the animals. They're measuring success. Okay, here's how they measure success. The racial reckoning that has roiled the country over the past few years means that diversity, equity, access, that's the new A in there, and inclusion issues have taken on a greater urgency, as has a desire for a deeper understanding of what such phrases actually mean. Let's find out what the zoo thinks that these phrases mean. I'd like to know. How do we track progress and provide some transparency and accountability? Asked Amy Rutherford, Director of Professional Development and Education at the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. She said, when it comes to diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion, that's something we consistently hear organizations struggle with. Yeah, it's hard to find people who are capable of taking care of animals across every different diverse. I mean, we need a Indian woman, we need a black man, we need a Chinese dude, we need a like what? Like that's got to be a struggle when you are not looking at anybody's merit. You're just looking at, their so, oh, look, a pygmy transgender just applied for this job. Give it to them no matter what. No matter what. And then the lions are like, what? Oh, that looks yummy. Yeah, Vivek, that's his name, Speaker of the House. He's a good one. He definitely has shown us who he is. I love it. Okay, so here were their key questions. This is not about animals either. How can zoos and aquariums help build a more equitable society through critical reflection on their internal operations, culture, and communications? How can zoo and aquarium diversity, equity, access, and inclusion efforts support this? What are we even talking about? I mean, when I was a young mom, I would take my kids to the zoo at least 3 or 4 times a week. We even had a pass to the zoo because I felt that it was one of the best places for my kids to grow up as babies. Like ever since they were little tiny babies, I took them to the zoo to see the animals. I don't like zoos personally. I don't like to see anybody in a cage and not having any freedom. But there was something about the zoo that I thought was really important for my kids to see, and it was a great place to get together with my friends, and we would have group outings at the zoo because it's educational and beautiful, and a lot to learn at the zoo. But this doesn't sound anything like the zoo to me. It sounds like the DEI zoo is crazy town. What is the role of zoos and aquariums in contributing to social change toward conservation? Well, social change toward conservation, that's kind of confusing me as well. What do we mean, social change? Conservation, and I understand wanting to keep animals so that people can see them, so that people will want to know more about them and, maybe save them if they are in danger of becoming extinct. I get that. I think it's also sad to be gawking at any critter in a cage. I don't like that. Even aquariums. I don't like aquariums. I don't like any of it. But they do have a role, and it is usually in showcasing the animals and how they do need to be kept alive and undisturbed and all that stuff. But contributing to social change toward conservation, I don't know what that means. Maybe you do, I don't know. What is the role of zoos and aquariums in contributing to the development of a person's intellectual, social, emotional, and physical well-being? I don't know, just show them the animals. What is that all about? How can zoos and aquariums maximize their systemic impact on conservation? These questions are very confusing for me. The AZA, that's the Association for Zoos and Aquariums, has also issued a revised accreditation standard that requires all facilities to follow a written DEAI program that is transparent and proactive with measurable goals, and must have at least one paid staff member or committee responsible for oversight. Adam saw a bald eagle at the zoo when he was young. It's sad. Yes, bald eagles in the zoo, that's terrible. The only reason there should ever be a bald eagle in the zoo is because it's injured and they're nursing it back to health. And I say this as my husband was a falconer and he could catch birds from the sky. It was amazing. And he loved the birds so much. And one of the saddest things about the birds that he always cried about was that they always need to be free. Because birds are migratory, most of them, a lot of them. I don't know how many. He always knew these things, but he actually would often help people in Cuba who were trying to learn more about the birds and they were keeping them in captivity. And he would say to them, you can't keep them in captivity. They're migratory. They need to go. They'll come back, but they need to go. They go, they come back. They go, they come back. Bird migration, it's a real thing. Anyway, yeah, keeping a bird captive, it's pretty terrible. It really is. Some people focus on the tangible, hypothetically example. Our staff is 15% black and 2% Asian, so our staff is reflective of our community, says Rutherford. But can those people show up as their authentic selves? I don't know. Where do they serve? Is it frontline staff or hospitality? And I don't know. I don't really care what color they are or where their ancestors came from. If they're Americans, they're Americans. We're not supposed to be looking at people like that. We want to look at the content of character, not the color of skin, according to Martin Luther King Jr. So according to this lady, most leadership and staff of AZA facilities are white and middle class without a lot of diversity. Oh, let's fire those people. So why is that, she asked? Are there certain practices and policies we have in place that contribute to whitewashing of staff? We need to ask, what could we do to be more representative of our communities? And that's so terrible. I want to live in a meritocracy where everybody is doing what they do best. Because when you put people, especially at the zoo, imagine somebody who is not qualified to work at the zoo and is only there because of the color of their skin or that their grandfather came from the Caribbean or something. You know, it's like that's not a reason to hire somebody. And I mean, you see it in the government. You see it with, they're talking about Pete Hegseth not being qualified to, what is it that they want him to be? Director of the FBI? No, that's Kash Patel. Yeah, they don't want him either. He's diverse. What's up with that? No, but they prefer to have that bald, lipstick-wearing pig of a man who was stealing stuff out of women's suitcases at the airport. Oh, that's diversity. That's a good person. Yeah, keep him in. He's white, by the way. Yeah, the only way to be diverse if you're white is to change your gender and pretend that you're something that you're not. Like an animal, maybe. That's another thing about the zoo, is there are people who look like they belong in the zoo. Yeah, just go to Pittsburgh every time the furries come to town. It's creepy. I'm sorry, but it's creepy. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's funny. I think it's creepy. That's just my opinion. Some people are totally charmed by the furries. I don't know. It just gives me weird feelings when I see them. About 85%. Oh, wait. She says the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens conducted its first annual Inclusion and Belonging Assessment last July. According to Jesse Coring, the zoo's Director of Equity Programs, they made an anonymous 22-question survey of all staff, and they conducted it during the pandemic. They received 212 responses, about 53%. And this was designed to help us understand where we are as an organization and how people across our entire zoo are experiencing this place. About 85% of those people agreed that the organization lived up to the value of being diverse. Diverse as in what? Who's diverse? The animals? Do they have different animals? The zoo is diverse. And 84% said they would refer a friend or family from an underrepresented group to work there, whether or not they're qualified, I'm sure. Some of the areas that needed more work, however, were improving communication within teams and more equal opportunities to grow and succeed. So I can't even. Okay, so my point is that DEI zoos, they're real. They're so real. So the next person that says, that's crazy, what's a DEI zoo? Yeah, it's a real thing. The zoos and the aquariums, they can't just take care of animals. The Denver Zoo, oh, big surprise, Colorado, wow, they're woke as hell, has focused on both their audience and their staff as part of their strategic plan through 2025. Their goal is that 40% of all community conversations and listening activities are with people, okay, tell me if this is not racist, are with people who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color, and they've got a BIPOC. That's something you should know, BIPOC. Ability diverse, what's that? They can do different things, what? Direct neighbors and non-visitors, said Marley Steele-Inama. That sounds like an American, Director of Community Research and Evaluation at the zoo. So that sounds completely racist to me. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But why do you care what color people are who work there or who come to the zoo? So for those of you wanted to know what's a DEI zoo, there you go. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's ridiculous and it's crazy, but it is real. It is very, very real. Let's move on to another story I wanted to cover. Oh, let's go back to Chris Cilliza. I don't know how to say his dang name. However, so 3 months ago, wait, was it 3 months ago? 1 month ago, he puts out a video called "Here's Exactly How Kamala Harris Wins This Race," and the comments are not aging well. But, you know, he's like all about she needs to let everyone know that Trump's, you know, Hitler and all this other crazy stuff. But then we go back 4 months ago, and here's the one I want you to watch. He calls this, "Was Joe Biden a good president?" So he's just apologized. He already did it. He already spilled the tea 4 months ago when they were trying to get rid of Joe so that they could usher in Kamala. And let's see how he handles this one.
25th. Hope everyone is doing well. I've got my Paris Olympics shirt on.
Wait, what date was this? Hold on, sorry.
The opening ceremony, July the 25th. Hope everyone is doing
right, whatever.
well. I've got my
4 months ago.
Olympics shirt on to celebrate the opening ceremonies tomorrow. Before he slips off the stage, and I think he's in the process of slipping off the stage, I wanted to spend one more video talking about Joe Biden. So
you think?
I broke down his speech last night. I thought it was okay. But I've been fascinated by
Thought it was okay.
the reaction,
Really?
The extremeness of the reactions since Biden decided and announced he was not going to run less than a week ago for a second term. So on the one hand, you have Donald Trump and many Republicans saying worst president ever, most ineffectual, too old,
biggest criminal,
never been president. And then you have the left sort of celebrating Biden as a hero of democracy, as someone who's going to go down as one of the great presidents in history.
Yeah, pretty weird, Chris.
Underrated. You know, so it's kind of like no one's in the middle ground. It's either Biden's the best ever or Biden's the worst ever. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the Biden presidency.
Yeah,
And,
do
and obviously,
tell.
look, this is coming in the midst of the end of the Biden presidency, right? It's not 10 or 15 years removed from it where we can analyze what all the programs he put in place actually meant. So there's a little bit of you're too close to the screen. But I still wanted to do it because I guess I fall more in that middle ground. So on the one hand, on the positive side, Joe Biden ran to try to bring, basically his words, normality back to the White House. That we had gone through 4 years of
Normality.
Charlottesville and those race riots, and then COVID and Donald Trump's mishandling of it, and then
I'm going to stop that
the
just for a second. Normalcy back to the White House. What he was doing was being installed by Obama to continue Obama's third presidency and also to cover up for all of the criminals that have been in our government for the past 50 plus years, and to continue the grift and to hide their criminality so that they don't go to jail by putting everybody who calls them out in jail. Does that sound right?
Trump contesting of the 2020 elections, January 6th, 2 impeachments. I think that Biden, by and large, did that, right? He wasn't impeached. There were no attempts to overthrow democracy. He did, in many ways, sort of restore what we've come to think of as normality back to the presidency, which is what he said he wanted to do and what he ran on.
He did overthrow democracy completely.
Side to Biden, he got way more done with the divided Congress than at least I thought he possibly could.
Yeah, destroyed as much as he could.
Infrastructure Act. There was
that was horrible.
Science Act. There
Ineffectual.
Was the Inflation Reduction Act.
A lie.
These are
the opposite.
Government spending programs that I'm surprised he was able to do, and they will have long-term impacts on American innovation, the American economy.
And not in a good way, dude. Why were you surprised that he was able to do these horrible things? Why were you surprised that he was able to just throw our money away and send it to Ukraine? Why are you surprised by that? You were part of it.
Economy, et cetera, et cetera. So, to me, I think Biden showed himself to be a pretty able navigator of policy battles. Someone who did make good on his pledge to make things more normal. So that's the positive end. On the negative end,
normal.
I think he was hugely hamstrung by his age and the deterioration that came with that age, which we only found about, honestly, too late.
Oh, yeah.
We should have known about it far earlier. The White House essentially, and his senior staff essentially sort of kept him from the public, hid him from the public, because they suspected that Biden would look too old and too frail and too infirm to be president, or certainly to run for another 4 years. That was exposed on June 27th when we saw him in the debate, and everything that came from that, including all the way up to his drop out of the race. So the thing that Biden didn't do well is use the bully pulpit, because he really couldn't, because he couldn't hold
he used it all right.
He couldn't give big speeches regularly. He couldn't sort of publicly cajole members to be for him regularly. He didn't do that, and I think that's a really important part of the presidency. The power of performance matters. It is not just
such hypocrites
about behind the scenes maneuvering. It is also about using the power of what you have as the president of the United States, a massive megaphone, to bend people, whether it's in the United States or internationally, to your will. And Biden just didn't do that. So
but you did, dude. You did. You used your massive audience. You used your lies to try to persuade people that he was competent, and that he was really presidential, and that he wasn't a big criminal. And let's go back to what you said before.
Janet Yellen were infrequent, or begs the question of, what? When did people near him know?
You knew.
And why did they not share?
Begs the question.
Biden's privacy, but he's the president of the United States, right? This isn't This isn't just your grandpa who you
No,
want
this
to
is him
take your keys
yesterday,
from, but
Chris.
you're not to his car, but you're not totally sure how to approach it. This is the sitting president of the United States who will continue to be after June 27th, was the president for another 6 months.
Yeah, why?
And we don't know how far back signs of this.
We did. We saw them.
And again, I don't put it just on myself or
You
just on.
should put it on all of you.
Did ask, and I can tell you. I mean, I know from my experience, there was a shame factor that went into that. People around Biden worked to make you feel bad when you asked whether he was up to the job of being president, running for president again, and serving as president for another 4 years. How could you? And they did a very good job, at least until they couldn't hide it anymore, of hiding it, of making it so that it was very hard to know. Yes, but he didn't do a lot of press conferences. Yes, he didn't do a lot of media interviews. But, when he did things, the thing I always remember is he gave the State of the Union speech earlier this year, and he was fine. There were no obvious signs of decline. I mean, yes, he looked like a 70,
yes, there were
80-year-old guy.
You just admitted it.
I wasn't like, this man cannot, under no circumstances, be president. So they did a good job of hiding it for a long time. But
only from you,
journalists, and I put myself here, you've got to.
You're not a journalist.
We should have. I should have. I don't want to speak for everyone. I should have not let the shame campaign to make you feel
you
bad.
You participated in it.
Because it's now clear from both the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times piece that there was real deterioration even before, and by the way, all the reporting that we've seen since the June 27th debate, it's not just these two stories, that there was real and significant decline in Joe Biden, and that it was being managed by the people around him. They were insulating him. They were keeping sort of the political world out and keeping him sort of bunkered in. And that should have been something we knew more about. Now, you can argue.
Peter Ducey tried to tell us.
Got out of the race. It's not like he's sure, but he's been the president for the last 4 years. So it's critically important. And we've learned, by the way, questions about presidential health, mental and physical health, whether it's Ronald Reagan or Kennedy or FDR. We've seen a lot of it. Trump.
You seem a little sick, Chris.
We've seen a lot of this where there.
Did you have your most recent booster?
So we need to learn our lesson, I think. Donald Trump's going to come into office in his late 70s. We know very little about his medical history. I think we as journalists need to keep asking questions.
Oh, now you're going to dig deep, huh?
Yeah. Physical decline. Now, his aides may just say, no, he's great, 100%. But keep digging. If there are those signs, there will be the people who are worried about it.
Now you know what to look for, right?
People with Biden more and more frequently to accurately represent what was happening in the White House, and then let the public make up their own mind. But I think, at least for the first couple of years of his presidency, maybe the first 3 years, the image of him as a older but hale and hearty older man prevailed. And I'm not sure, based on these two stories, the Journal story and the Times story, I'll link to both below, but also just all the reporting we've seen since June 27th, since the debate, I'm not sure that was an accurate, in fact, I don't think at all that was an accurate depiction of his physical and mental state. Even if he had good days and bad days, well, he had bad days. It's called a lie. And those bad days were pretty bad. And when you're the president of the United States, you don't get to have good days and bad days. You got to have a consistently good in terms of your mental and cognitive abilities, your physical abilities. You got to have good days.
This guy belongs in jail.
I think it's a
for
lesson
real.
That we have to learn going forward. Because
oh yeah, now you're going to go after Trump.
The oldest person ever to hold office if he serves for 4 years.
Oh yeah, it's Trump.
And I will be mindful of that.
Oh, will you?
Asking those questions isn't a partisan thing. Asking those questions is a journalism thing.
Oh, now you decide that.
Pushed harder, and not been as willing to accept the. Now he's fine. Look at him when he's in public.
You're going to push on Trump, though.
And I did. Anyway, I'm always want to be as authentic, honest, and transparent with you as possible.
Okay.
This is part of that effort.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
4 things. Subscribe to this channel.
Okay. Don't, please. That's why I showed it to you. You don't have to subscribe to his channel, but you should subscribe to my channel, please. I would love that. And you could become a member too. I do have memberships, so if you might want to think about that, it would really help the Beach Report and help me to continue actual journalism as opposed to this dude who, seriously, he's a millionaire. He started out much like I did, just a regular journalist. I think something about he wanted to go into sports writing or something. I've never had any interest in sports, but I started out as a reporter, a beat reporter in a little South Jersey news magazine that still is around to this day, thank goodness, on the Jersey Shore. That's where I started my career. And I am still doing my journalism despite the fact that I won't work with any big name magazines or newspapers. I was with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for 18 years, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I stopped writing for them. I think it was like 2017, when all the editors did was bash Trump, and every time I would write a story that, you know, like, they were always tweaking my articles to have like more of a liberal bend to them. They knew I was a conservative from the things that I like to write about and the stories that I covered. But I mean, it wasn't obvious. I wasn't biased at all. But you know, I had a lot of voices in my articles. One was actually about a gentleman who had come to America from England, and he was the most patriotic dude in town, and liked to have these wonderful 4th of July parties at his cemetery. He owned a cemetery, really cool guy. And yeah, that was one of my favorites. And they kept saying that he's British, and the editors wanted to say he's British, and I said, no, he's not. He's an American. And that's what he would always say. I'm not British, I'm an American. I love it. All right. Well, I am going to say ciao for now, and I will see you on the next Beach Report. I might have some exciting stuff going on this evening. I've got to go up to Tampa for a Christmas party, my only Christmas party of the season, because my dog has not been well. So I've had to opt out of all the celebrations, but she is feeling better, and I think I can leave her alone for a few hours to go to a Christmas party. Actually, I might actually have a babysitter for her. I don't know if I can really leave her alone, but I don't really want to. Anyway, I do want to go to this party, and we'll see what happens tonight. It will be a fundraiser, I believe, for veterans, so it's right up my alley with my book, Like It Was Yesterday, A Journalist's Files Since 9/11, which focuses on 9/11, that day, and 15 years afterwards. My brother survived 9/11, so it's personal. All right, you guys. I'm going to see you later on the next Beach Report. Bye, Adam. Bye, Linda. Who else is on? Joanne. Where's Darla? Well, she'll be on the replay. All right, you guys. Ciao for now.